Hello there, welcome to Friday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. Pollution warnings across 16 beaches in Kent and Sussex. One swimmer has filmed what she believes is sewage pumped into the sea at Tankerton.
The closer we got, the stronger the smell got, and when we got down to the water, I think you can see from the video that there was a lot of cloudy, murky, quite smelly water.
Campaigners celebrate at Manston Airport over government approval for a multi-million-pound freight airport, but there are still concerns locally.
Also tonight, the Eastbourne Air Show returns after a 2-year break as aircraft old and new take to the sky over the southeast.
Well, I've always been very grounded. You know, I came back from space, I've got a family, 2 young boys, and it was straight into doing the dishes, putting the bins out, and, you know, at the time looking after or going back to being a dad and a husband.
And why astronaut Major Tim Peake is setting his sights on a mission to the moon by the end of the decade. Good evening. Seaside businesses across the southeast say sewage leaks are seriously affecting their trade ahead of one of their busiest weekends of the year.
More than a dozen beaches in Kent and Sussex have pollution warnings in place, including Bexhill, Tankerton and Herne Bay. And that's where Joe Cosham is tonight. Now, Joe, what's it like down there?
Well, Amanda, a red flag has been placed here at the beach in Herne Bay, advising people not to go swimming because of a sewage discharge over the last 12 hours. More on the safety aspect in just a moment, but first I've been looking at the impacts the red flag is having on tourism and how it's leaving some businesses' profits margins teetering in the red too. Murky water gently lapping against the shore after an overnight release of what appears to be sewage in Tankerton. Southern Water say it's 95% rainwater, but it was enough to put Sal off her early morning swim.
I was here with a friend from London and very excited to show off what a lovely life I have. And we got down here this morning and both kind of looked at each other and thought there's a bit of a waft of sewage in the air, which wasn't very pleasant. I would not have brought my friend here had I realised that there was going to be a release so close to the beach hut. So yeah, it was pretty humiliating.
Tankerton is one of 16 beaches across the southeast that has had a discharge in the last 48 hours, prompting a group of MPs in Sussex to call for an urgent meeting with Southern Water and the Environment Agency to highlight the financial impacts the releases are having on businesses. Mehmet runs several restaurants in Herne Bay and relies on summer tourism. He says, although they shouldn't be, visitors are being put off.
It's broken our heart and we're not happy about this. You don't have to go to the sea. You just go chill out and enjoy your time, enjoy the restaurant, enjoy your walking. This is our home, this is our business, this is where we wait for this whole year. I think this is unacceptable. This is the second time they do. I think they should pay us wherever we lost, you know.
I totally understand that, you know, businesses are being impacted and we want to reduce the duration of that business impact. We are, as I say, working tirelessly with the local authority and the Environment Agency to expedite the cleanup of the beach so that they can reopen. Once we've got the beaches open, then we'll have a conversation about what we need to do to make good the harm that we've caused.
To make good, would you offer them compensation?
Yeah, compensation may be one of the reparations that we look at. Absolutely.
So financial damages could be offered to those affected, but locals say they would rather there were no more damages to the coastline.
And Joe, there's still warnings though about going into the water.
Well, that's right, because of that pollution risk, Amanda. But as you can see behind me, there are still a few people having a bit of a paddle and dipping their feet in. But people I've been speaking to today, it seems the significance of the red flag hasn't quite filtered through.
Just brought our little one down. He's never been to a beach before, so we just thought we'd try somewhere local.
Obviously, you've seen the red flag. Did you know why it was in place?
No.
If I told you it was because of a pollution risk in the sea, they're advising people against swimming there, does that put you off now heading to the water?
Yeah. Yes.
No one's come around and said anything. It was a bit disappointing, to be honest. We brought our grandchildren down for the day and a bit worried now, to be fair. They're back to eat, so they're going to have to wash their hands and that, because didn't even know they had sewage in the area. So
now I'm going to make her come out of the water, you know, where she's doing a little bit of finding rocks and crabs. So now I'll take her straight out. I spoil her fun.
We didn't get told anything, so we didn't know. So we drove all this way to find out you're not allowed to go in there. Well, you can, but they're advising against it, which is if it's a red flag, you've got to listen to the red flags.
Well, the Canterbury City Council spokesperson told us that these red flags have been the long-standing method for telling the public not to enter the water on safety grounds, and they are satisfied people are aware of the situation but are monitoring it closely if they need to take extra steps. But councillors that I've been speaking to today say it's a pretty difficult balancing act because they have a public duty to protect people from a potential pollution risk, but in turn do not want to steer people away from a popular seaside hotspot. The problem is they do not know the real risks, so they have to on the side of caution. In essence, all they can do is leave it up to individual families to make a judgment and judge the risks themselves.
Yes, indeed. Joe, as always, thank you very much.
Let's get some more of the day's news now. And a teenage boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man was stabbed in Tunbridge. The victim, in his 20s, was assaulted in or close to Avebury Avenue early this morning and pronounced dead at the scene. The boy is in custody. Police have spoken to potential witnesses and urge anyone with information to contact them.
A couple from Ashford have released CCTV footage of what they say was a terrifying raid on their property. 3 masked thieves smashed their way into Mark Homewood's mobile home on Wednesday, where they stole a 100-year-old machete. It's the second time the property has been targeted.
More rail strikes are planned across the region for tomorrow. Gatwick, Thameslink and Southern trains will be affected with extremely limited routes running. Southern has asked people only to travel if it's absolutely necessary.
An urgent appeal's been launched for the return of a stolen bike with huge sentimental value. CCTV footage shows the bike being taken from outside Worthing Hospital. Well, its chaplain, Reverend David Hill, said it was used by his 2 sons before they died in a helicopter crash in the Grand Canyon 4 years ago. Well, police want anyone who sees the bike for sale to get in touch.
Campaign groups calling for Manston Airport to reopen were celebrating today after it emerged a Development Consent Order, or DCO, had been granted for it to be turned into an air freight hub.
But while some question the environmental impact and the economic benefit, others hope reopening Manston for the first time since 2014 will be a boost to one of the most deprived areas in the southeast. Tony Green sent this.
The news that Manston can reopen as an airport after the government granted a Development Consent Order, or DCO, took everyone by surprise. Campaigners were summoned by Facebook today for an improvised celebration at the passenger terminal. Its future has polarised opinion in Thanet, but reopening the airport as a freight hub was welcome here.
Absolutely ecstatic. 3,500 of us have fought for Manston for 8.5 years, and we finally have the result that we wanted.
Manston's tried to operate as a commercial airport before and it's failed. Why will it succeed this time?
Before it had 1.5 airport stands. This time it will have 19. It's like trying to run a bus service but you've only got 1 passenger seat.
Not everybody, however, is on board.
There is already pre-existing capacity for air cargo with pre-existing infrastructure in place, so why do we need it? The second point is it has been made very clear that this disadvantages Ramsgate. Also, this flies in the face of a climate emergency.
Owners River Oak have an airport to build, as well as bridges with those who didn't want it.
In terms of the first flight's landing, we are expecting to be 2 years in construction, and that's not likely to start for the period of time that we need to make sure the master plan is future-proofed. We are focused on cargo, but we are hoping that we will have a small passenger operation running alongside, but it will be relatively small.
The ambition for Manston to become a kind of Gatwick is just misplaced. Manston is in the wrong place to have millions and millions of passengers. But if you have 3 or 4 aircraft parked, that generates 1 million to 1.5 million passengers and offers local people the opportunity to get to other parts of Europe.
This is supposed to be one of the most disadvantaged areas in the southeast, and this is going to bring jobs. Isn't that a good thing?
Jobs, in terms of what jobs would there be? The air traffic control, we're told, is going to be done remotely. Freight is often largely automated. There aren't going to be the jobs that I think people are expecting.
For the best part of a decade, what began life as a First World War airfield became a battlefield. One side now claims victory, but the other may yet want to fight on. Tony Green, ITV News, Manston.
A series of roadshows will be taking place across Thanet to help local people eat well in the face of rising food prices. The council and NHS are joining forces with charities and outreach organisations to provide a one-stop shop for advice. The first one is in Ramsgate on Monday.
More than 15,000 illegal cigarettes and 1,000 vapes have been seized from shops in Maidstone. Trading Standards says the vapes haven't been subject to the strict safety measures, so shouldn't be used. Well, officers also recovered counterfeit phone accessories, watches, jewellery and clothing.
Now you're watching ITV News Meridian. Plenty more to come up on the programme, including all the sport with Andrew.
And we catch up with spaceman Tim Peake, who's hoping to reach the moon with a brand new expedition.
And the sun made an appearance for most of us today, but will it last into the weekend? And when does the next batch of wet weather arrive? I'll be here with your full forecast.
More, of course, on the website. There's the address, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us, 0808 1010 095 is the number as ever. And don't forget to follow us on social media.
Well, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. For more, here's Lucrezia Millarini.
Warnings of a humanitarian crisis in the UK this winter. Health leaders plead with the government to act amid fears that soaring energy prices will lead to more deaths and unbearable pressure on the NHS. Jailed for life, the man who murdered his bride on their wedding night. Sir Alex Ferguson gives evidence at the Ryan Giggs trial. And supermodel Linda Evangelista, who says she was disfigured by cosmetic surgery, back on the cover of a magazine. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, the Eastbourne Air Show has returned for the first time in 2 years, with the Red Arrows taken to the sky over the next 4 days.
Yes, the event was cancelled in 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic. So it's an exciting time for visitors who can also see the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight and a whole lot more. There for us today, Glenn Thompson.
4 days of spectacular flying, aerobatics, fun and entertainment. Aircraft from past, present and future are here at the 28th Eastbourne Air Show. The South Coast extravaganza will see more than 50 displays, including the world's only professional wing-walking team, the Aero Superbatics.
It's always one of my favourites. It's a beautiful view here, flying up over Beachy Head. We actually climb up out of the aircraft over Beachy Head and strap ourselves into the top wing, and it's a wonderful view while you're doing it. So yeah, it's really exciting.
The show returns after a 2-year absence, and organisers are confident that this year's event will attract visitors from far and wide.
Shops are busy, you know, people are buying sandwiches to bring with them, but it's not just that, it's a knock-on effect. People are coming down, staying, and hopefully they're thinking it was a wonderful place and will come back later in the year, and they're booking up for later in the year when it's quieter.
The Battle of Britain Memorial Flight commemorates those who lost their lives serving in the RAF, and as a tribute, the fleet are preserved in top flying condition. And from the champions of yesteryear to an aircraft with a highly impressive range of capabilities. The Typhoon, which has incredible power with a top speed of more than 1,500 miles an hour. For those visiting the show, every aircraft holds something special and magical.
Oh, we love everything. Yeah, you know, especially the Battle of Britain flight, because it's the old classic aircraft and things like that that really I'm really pleased with.
I like seeing all the colours for the Red Arrows as they go past.
It's very nice. It's a really nice show. We enjoy it very much.
The future of aviation is also here at Eastbourne with the world's first certified electric aircraft, the Pipistrel Velis Electro.
It's quiet, it's clean, zero emission. The batteries are charged with solar and the duration is 1 hour. So it's designed for flight training for 1 hour. The highest I've flown this over the Alps is 14,000 feet, and it'll still go higher.
This year's event is expected to attract more than 800,000 people over the 4 days until Sunday. And with the weather to remain mostly fine, you can expect everyone here to be looking skyward. Glenn Tomset, ITV News.
Love an air show.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really lovely. It's good to see it back. We must give some credit to our camera operator at Eastbourne, who managed to keep up with all the planes. That was Siobhan Hart. She's brilliant, and it's beautiful shots there as well.
Yeah, we don't like to give credit to other people,
No,
but we really
never.
ought to on this one occasion.
Just the once.
That's it. Talking of giving credit, let's go to sport. Andrew is here. Andrew, a massive match for Crawley this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't get bigger than this, does it, for Crawley fans, as they take on rivals AFC Wimbledon. Manager Kevin Betsy is looking for his first league win since taking over in the summer. He may not have been at the club long, but he knows just how important this match is for the Crawley supporters.
Of course, we're fully aware and up to speed with the magnitude of the game from the supporters' perspective, and there'll be no stone unturned in terms of our preparation, but most importantly our application, our intensity, and how we want to go about this game on Saturday will be there for people to see on Saturday. The players will be given 110% for the cause, and hopefully we can have a really good result.
A big and lively crowd expected at Crawley tomorrow. Well, Brighton fans have to wait until Sunday at 2 o'clock to see the Seagulls travel to West Ham in the Premier League. Back in League Two, Gillingham will be determined to improve on the midweek defeat to Harrogate when they host Walsall tomorrow. The Football League highlights on ITV4 at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. In show jumping, Sussex have claimed the top 2 places at the British Academy Championships. Lottie Adams from Hurstpierpoint and her teammates, one of those top 2 teams. The 11-year-old, who we featured on the show before, riding Lexi through double clear rounds. Sussex seeing off all competition. Now, getting fit and healthy is something many of us try to achieve. So what is the key to losing weight? Well, special courses have started in Hastings to encourage people to change their lifestyles and get more active. They're part of a programme to get us moving, as Tom Savides now reports.
Once a week, they work up a sweat. The aim, to get fit and healthy. Eloise Beattie has always struggled with her weight, but this course in Hastings has helped her.
Without this opportunity, I would have just kept on spiralling down and down and down. It gave me a little hand, a wake-up call, a kind of, we're here with you, and you don't have to be in this lifestyle forever. We can kind of hold your hand whilst you climb up the big mountain that you're going to have to face, because it was overwhelming.
So far, more than 150 people have made use of Active Hastings, a free 12-week course funded by East Sussex County Council for those keen to shed the pounds. They include Bruce Halliday, who has lost an incredible 3 stones.
There's no pressure on us, we just do what we can, but week on week you get better and better, and then you start seeing the results, and it's fantastic.
We're then going to swap food for something called self-care.
But it's not just about exercise. The course also looks at diet and healthy eating.
And go as long as I can without eating in the morning.
Choosing the right food can make a real difference.
Even the food that's on the shelves, just knowing what you're putting inside your body is a great way to start. And if you're not sure about that, then these courses are brilliant.
During the COVID pandemic, many of us struggled with our weight and our mental health. This course was set up once restrictions were lifted to help people get back on track. And this lot appear to be moving in the right direction. Tom Savides, ITV News, Hastings.
A great project with great results.
They certainly are, aren't they? And I really admire anybody who does that. I think it takes guts to go out and do the exercise and everything. So well done to them. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.
Now, he grew up in Sussex and always wanted to fly, and Major Tim Peake, well, he certainly achieved his dream.
Yes, in 2015, after a distinguished Army flying career, he made history as the first British astronaut to visit the International Space Station.
Well, the Major is sharing stories about his 6 months in space in a one-man show that's touring the Meridian region. Well, Kerry Swain went to meet him at Chichester Festival Theatre, where he told her he still has ambitions to fly to the moon.
So, Major Tim Peake, you're back at the very place of your birth. What sort of connections and affection do you still have for this part of the world?
Oh, I have a huge affection to this part of the world. It's where I grew up. I was born at St Richard's in Chichester, went to the Chichester High School for boys as it was then, and spent 18 years of my life growing up there. So I had my first job at the Nag's Head in Chichester, so I have many, many fond memories.
You became so well known, like a household name at that time. How hard has it been to step back into more normal life, really, going to the supermarket and carrying on doing things that aren't of a superhero nature?
Well, I've always been very grounded, and so for me it doesn't feel like that's been a difficult transition at all. I came back from space, I've got a family, 2 young boys, and it was straight into doing the dishes, putting the bins out, and at the time looking after or going back to being a dad and a husband.
What is your actual job now then?
So I still are doing some work for the UK Space Agency and the European Space Agency. We've got an exciting times coming up with an awful lot happening in space, including our first launch from the UK this year from Spaceport Cornwall, and next year vertical launches from Scotland. I've been writing some children's books, fiction and non-fiction. I'm doing a live tour around the UK to talk about my experiences in space, and I'm working for a couple of space industry startups as well, helping them.
Tell me about the show.
Well, the show really is an attempt to take you on a journey to space. It tries to be as immersive, as interactive and entertaining as possible. There's lots of audio-visual content in there. It kind of follows my life story, but it's the story of any astronaut today about how we train for space, what we're doing in space, what it's like to live and work. I take you on an orbit of planet Earth and show you the incredible views that we see. We talk about spacewalking and a bit about the future of space exploration as well.
What were your most memorable moments in space?
Most vivid memories are the spacewalk, without doubt. That was the highlight of the mission, and it really is encapsulated in the view that you get of planet Earth. There's 2 things that are wonderful about space, and it's weightlessness and it's the view, and really the view, I think, is the best thing. And when you go outside the space station on a spacewalk, you just see this beautiful planet Earth with all of its lovely colours against a black backdrop of the universe going on for infinity, and it's quite incredible.
And did anything ever go wrong? Were you ever in danger?
Well, we had a pretty difficult docking to the International Space Station. It nearly ended with a collision, so that was not ideal. I was out on a spacewalk with my colleague Tim Copra, and his helmet started filling up with water, which had happened to a previous crew member and ended up in a near drowning incident. So again, that needed to be dealt with very rapidly.
Man first walked on the moon before you were born, and it's been decades since anything like that has happened again. When can we expect the next exciting development in space exploration?
Right now we have the Artemis program, which is this new era of space exploration going back to the moon. And Artemis 1 has paved the way by having an uncrewed test flight, but next year we'll see Artemis 2, which will be a crew of 4 going around the moon like they did in Apollo 8, ahead of 2025 Artemis 3, boots on the moon again. And this is to establish a permanent presence. By 2028, end of the decade, we're going to be seeing crews going off to the moon to live and work for a year.
What would be your absolute dream?
A mission to the moon, without a shadow of a doubt. Going into space, any astronaut would say any mission is a good mission, but certainly the moon missions coming up are going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Major Tim Peake, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Just fascinating. And Major Tim Peake, we just need to tell you, is appearing in Folkestone and Tunbridge Wells in September, Chichester and Canterbury in November and March. Brilliant.
Joins us now. I wonder what would the weather be like on the moon? Could you live there?
Yeah, it's not great up there. They have 2-week-long days and nights, and although they don't really have any weather because they don't have an atmosphere, they get extremes of temperature. So the light side of the moon gets up to about 120 degrees, and the dark side down to about minus 130. So real extremes of temperature, but the moon is probably better than some of our planets to live on, because you've got Mercury that gets bombarded by coronal mass ejections, which scour the surface of it. You've got Venus, which gets up to 480 degrees and has, it rains acid basically from corrosive clouds. It's not great. Mars is a bit quieter, but has planet-wide dust storms which last for months. Jupiter and Saturn has huge, great weather systems that scientists compare to super hurricanes. You've got Uranus, which rotates on its side and has winters that are over 20 years long. Neptune, that has winds over 1,000 miles an hour. And then Pluto, technically a dwarf planet, gets down to, I think it's minus 230 degrees.
Stay here.
So
I was just about to say, shall we stay here?
I think it might be my option if that's okay. I'm not going to any of those. Thank you, though, for the invite.
So, with that in mind, we're going to stay here and get a check on the forecast instead with the details. Here's Holly.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
A reasonable look, I think, to things for this weekend. Mostly dry, you might just see an odd shower or two, but some spells of sunshine, although probably more cloud working in for Sunday. That's ahead of a feature bringing some wet weather, so I think some rain Sunday night and into Monday. And then that probably all clears through, actually, so drier and brighter as we push through next week once more. So we had a weather front clear through earlier on. That brought some fresher air with it. Bit of a ridge of high pressure to start the weekend, and as I say, we've got systems approaching, bringing some rain for Sunday night and Monday. Feeling more humid again, I think, by that stage as well. Out there this evening and tonight, I think some sunshine initially, starry skies. And then I do think it'll feel a good bit fresher than last night. So some of us struggled to drop much below, so 17 degrees last night. Tonight, these are more typical values. And actually out in the countryside, you could catch some single digits. So a much more comfortable night for sleeping. And then a bright start into our Saturday, some sunshine to be enjoyed, a touch more cloud just bubbles up through the day, an isolated shower or two, but mostly dry. A southwesterly breeze, you'll especially notice that, I think, for coastal areas. Here, of course, it just knocks those temperatures back a little. Head inland, we're talking 23, 24. I think we're feeling warm enough in the sunshine, but as I say, not as humid as it has done of late. Our high tide times, Dover there 5:44 and again at 6:09 into the evening. So I've popped a sunny spell on for Sunday, but I do think we'll tend to find a bit more cloud thickening through the day. Ahead of outbreaks of rain Sunday night and Monday, then turning drier and brighter through the week. Take care.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So pretty settled compared to Mars. That's it from us for this evening. In a moment, of course, the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millerini.
And we shall leave you with footage today of the Red Arrows, as popular as ever at the Eastbourne Air Show, which runs until Sunday. Back after 2 years, of course, and it really is something to see. So do stay tuned, watch all this, enjoy the pictures, enjoy your weekend, take care. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.